Part 20. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 191. Chapter 191 Do not commit suicide. On this day, Ling Chu was sitting at the gua stall, thinking about how to break off the engagement. Although she knew that the Crown Prince Zhao Qiagong was having an affair with his cousin, it was Hungxiu who told her about it. Hungxiu is dead and there is no way to testify for her. If Ling Chu came directly to expose the affair between Zhao Qiagong and Guo Rong, she was worried that Mrs. Zhao Qiagong would deny the matter in order to preserve the reputation of her son Zhao Jingming. After all, if the news that Zhao Jingming had a concubine before getting married got out, Mrs. Zhao Qiagong would no longer be able to help him marry a girl from a noble family. She had to think of a safe way, and it was best to expose this matter directly. As long as the world knew what kind of person Zhao Jingming was, and she proposed to break off the engagement, she believed that the people in the Ling family would no longer have the nerve to stop her. While Ling Chu was thinking about it, a girl wearing a hibiscus-colored dress suddenly appeared in front of the gua stall. Ling Chu only glanced at Hungxiu, whose feet were off the ground and was floating towards the side. She is our prince's cousin, Guo Rong. Ling Chu sneered in his heart. It turned out that he was here looking for trouble. The maid behind Guo Rong took out a piece of silver and threw it on the table in front of Ling Chu with an arrogant look. My girl wants to tell fortunes. If your prediction is accurate, I will reward you with this ingot of silver. If your prediction is not accurate, you will go to the yamen and be imprisoned for me. Ling Chu did not even look at the ingot of silver. He hit it with the small hammer in his hand, and the ingot of silver immediately flew into the maid's arms. The maid's nostrils were pointing upward, and she didn't expect this. Although she subconsciously wanted to catch the silver, she was a step too slow. The silver hit her chest and fell to the ground. Hey, what do you mean? Ling Chu glanced at the maid who was jumping in anger, and said softly, it doesn't matter, get out. The maid glared, why doesn't it count? Aren't you a Taoist nun? Isn't it that you set up a stall here just to tell others fortunes? Yes, but I don't want to settle it for you. Why? Upon hearing this, the maid was so angry that she was fuming. Ling Chu glanced at her sideways and said, why? Why don't I think you are displeased? This Guo Rong hadn't even walked through the door yet, so she took advantage of the meat in her belly and ran up to her with her maid to provoke her. You! What are you doing? If you dare to point your finger at me again, believe it or not, your hand will become useless. Ling Chu was worried about breaking off the engagement. At this time, the master and servant came to her in a bossy manner to provoke her. Guo Rong had been standing aside silently before, but now he saw his maid jumping up and down in anger, so he winked at her and signaled her to retreat. Weak Lu Fufen walked to the gua stall, swept his handkerchief over the horse in disgust, and then sat down. Taking the silver ingot from the maid's hand and placing it on the table, Guo Rong's red lips parted slightly and said, the maid is not sensible, so please don't be as knowledgeable as her. This is the hexagram gold. Could you please help me do the fortune telling? All right, you can't live with the money. 100 taels and 1 hexagram. The contempt on Guo Rong's face instantly turned to anger. She reached out and pointed at the sign next to her, isn't it 100 words and a hexagram? Ling Chu glanced at her lightly, picked up the brush on the pen mountain and dipped it in ink, then crossed out the word on the sign and wrote the word Liang on it. That was the price before, now it is 100 taels and 1 hexagram. The anger in Guo Rong's eyes almost burst out. Ling Chu said casually, do you want to tell your fortune? If not, please get out of the way and don't block other people's opportunities. Suppressing her anger, Guo Rong took out 100 taels of silver and slapped it on the table, saying with an arrogant look, okay, 100 taels is 100 taels. If you calculate correctly, this 100 taels will be yours. If the calculation is not accurate, just follow me to see the official. This sentence again. Ling Chu didn't even bother to roll his eyes. Tell me what you want to do. He smiled provocatively at Ling Chu and said, if you count on marriage, then, when will I become the crown prince's concubine? Let's see how this responds. If she tells the time, this will have to give up her position as the crown princess. But if you don't say anything, you have to go to the official with her. Ling Chu casually glanced at the other person's face and said softly, I'll give you a message, there is a time in life that must be there, but there is no time in life, so don't force it. Guo Rong's face suddenly turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. What do you mean? Don't understand? It means that you are not destined to be the concubine of the world. Guo Rong's voice suddenly became sharp. Impossible. Her voice was loud and sharp, and it attracted a lot of attention at once. Realizing that she had lost her composure, Guo Rong suppressed her anger and sneered, I didn't know that. It turns out that you don't need anything to predict your name, birth date, or birth date. You can tell fortunes just by looking at them casually. Do you think that you can predict your fortune just by opening your mouth, Taoist non-fortune telling? It's not a shame to be ignorant. After all, you don't understand mystical arts. But I'm not just relying on your mouth. It's because your appearance is not destined to be the concubine of the world. You don't even know my name and date of birth, how can you say that I don't have the destiny to be the princess of the world? Guo Rong was born in Shenxi, March 17, 28th year of the 28th year. Guo Rong was stunned. She thought Ling Chu didn't know her identity. Humph, it's nothing to know these things, it's not difficult to find out if you want to. Facing the irony, Ling Chu was not angry, and his voice was as calm as water. Not only can I calculate these, I can also calculate that you will be in a disaster immediately. Besides, your child's father is coming soon. Guo Rong glanced at her in surprise, and then her thoughts changed. I'm sitting here properly, how can there be a disaster? Stop scaring people. Ling Chu pointed towards the royal street, don't believe it? You can try walking 3 to 4 feet that way. If nothing happens to me, it will prove that you are a deceitful Taoist nun. From now on, you can go to the prison to set up a stall. Guo Rong took the maid and walked towards the direction Ling just pointed to. There are people on the Imperial Street, and in full view of everyone, how could something happen to her? Just where Ling Chu just pointed, there is a tea house next to it. A man is standing by the window of the private room on the second floor, holding a cup of tea in his hand and looking over here with a frown. Seeing Guo Rong coming over, his expression softened. Just between the two people moving up and down, looking at each other affectionately. Ling Chu made a secret with his fingers and flicked at Hungzio's puppet soul. Hungzio was instantly happy and immediately floated towards the man. Chai grabbed the teacup in his hand and threw it at Guo Rong. Zhao Jingming was stunned. Why did he drop his teacup? While he was in a daze. There was a scream from below. Looking down, Guo Rong was holding a few tea leaves on her head, covering her forehead with her hands, crying. The blood on his forehead was dripping down between his fingers. Zhao Jingming's expression changed, and he immediately turned around and rushed downstairs. He rushed to Guo Rong in one breath. Cousin. Seeing the love and affection in his eyes, Guo Rong immediately threw herself into his arms weakly and helplessly. Thanks to Kalinglan, Unthinkable, Scar 33, Eagle in the Wind, Snowfee, Raccoon Au, Bicycle Rice Cooker, Xia, Lonely Fish, Art. Angel, the little bookworm who can't get enough. 1607260313413232. Thank you Yangliuan, Tian Yulan, Swallows returning to the south, 140212184021421428, at this moment, laughing with you, Luoluo. BA, even cats and mice don't play. 1402121840214228 Yuan Juan. Gauze makeup, 2017010163032431. Yanglia Bank, 854-729, 20230208431051, Colorful Life. Purple downward arrow DC hide. Exquisite and clear heart. AE, mentioning the future with a pen. Prose. BA, the heartbeat on the left. 202304222338222531, Yang G 798. CHLWCH, why do we grow old? 1607260313412332xxc. 20230601621658, 641,417. Supported by the recommendation votes of book friends such as 202303061958333531. Thanks to Hungzia for supporting book friends. Thanks to Xiaoxiang's book friends for their support. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 192. Chapter 192. Mr. Zhao wants to be a father. Guo Rong threw herself into Zhao Jingming's arms and cried. Zhao Jingming hugged her, his eyes paused on the blood on her forehead, and his brows wrinkled unnaturally. After a few soft words of comfort, seeing the blood still dripping from Guo Rong's forehead, she hurriedly asked the boy to call the coachman, and then carefully helped her onto the carriage and asked the coachman to take her to the hospital. Although Guo Rong was unwilling to leave, the pain on her head and the bright red blood frightened her a little. She was worried that if she didn't get treatment quickly, she would hurt the fetus in her belly. This is the trump card that will determine whether she can successfully marry into Duke Zhao's palace and become the eldest concubine. There is absolutely no room for error in this piece of meat in her belly. Before leaving, Guo Rong glanced at the stall. When she saw Ling Chu looking over with a half-smile, she couldn't help but feel frightened and angry. "Cousin, I know you didn't smash the teacup, it must have been Miss Ling's fault." Zhao Jingming was stunned, and he naturally knew that he was not the one who smashed the teacup. She's far away, how can I start?" Guo Rong was so aggrieved that tears fell down. "Cousin, if it wasn't her, who else could be? I heard that she grew up with Master Xianyi since she was a child, so she must have used the sorcery she learned to do it. Damn it, otherwise why would your teacup hit me?" Zhao Jingming frowned when he heard the word witchcraft. The emperor once wanted Master Xianyi to be the national master. My cousin said that his abilities were witchcraft. If this word got out, I'm afraid it would cause trouble. There were so many people on the imperial street. Zhao Jingming was wary and hurriedly said in a low voice, "Okay, your injury is serious. Hurry up and ask the driver to take you to the hospital. I will take care of other things." Guo Rong also knew that her injury could not be delayed, so she put her hand on her stomach and said aggrievedly, "Cousin, when will Aunt let me in? Even if I can wait, the child can't afford to wait." Zhao Jingming's eyes averted for a moment, and he didn't want to say more about this issue. "Don't worry, I will get my mother to let you in as soon as possible. You can deal with the wound first." With his words, Guo Rong breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't bother him anymore, but told the coachman to go to the hospital quickly. Zhao Jingming felt a headache as he watched the carriage go away. Although his mother liked her cousin, she had no intention of letting her become his concubine. He has already passed his coming-of-age ceremony, and his father plans to find an opportunity to find him an official position, while his mother wants a daughter-in-law who is a noblewoman who can help his career. Zhao Jingming naturally had no objection to his father's plan. After all, he would inherit his father's title in the future. Having a family-in-law who can help him in his official career, coupled with the help of his uncle Zongqin Bo, his official career will definitely rise step by step in the future. My cousin can't be his concubine, so I'm afraid she'll make trouble with him. But as long as he explains it to her properly, she will probably understand his last resort. It's just a matter of children, which makes him a little troublesome. If those noble ladies knew that he had a bastard, they might not be willing to marry him. Forget it, let's figure this out later. He has to cancel the marriage in Ling's house before he can think of anything else. Zhao Jingming turned around and strode towards the stall. Looking down at the figure wearing a Taoist robe, he asked, "Did you do it just now?" Even though Zhao Jingming didn't think the person in front of him had that ability, Guo Rong's words still impressed him. He was obviously holding the teacup firmly, but it strangely slipped out of his hand and hit his cousin on the head. Ling Chu leaned against the wall and looked at the person in front of him indifferently. The smile on his lips contained a trace of sarcasm. Why, Mr. Zhao didn't hold the teacup firmly and smashed his beloved cousin, but he wants to put the blame on his fiancée. Ling Chu's cold eyes glanced up and down. He looked like a human and a dog, but unfortunately he was a scumbag. Not only did he sleep with the maid, but he also made his cousin's belly bigger. As soon as Ling Chu finished speaking, the people watching the excitement immediately looked at Zhao Jingming. Zhao Jingming's face quickly turned red when he noticed those strange eyes. Seeing that sneer again, anger suddenly rushed to the top of his head. What fiancé? It was just your mother who wanted to repay the favor. My mother had no choice but to verbally agree to the engagement. I will not marry you. A vulgar and rude person like you is not qualified to be the crown prince concubine of the Duke of Zhao. Ling Chu's face turned cold. You don't want to marry, and I don't want to marry yet. My mother has been kind to the Duke of Zhao. If you don't say a drop of kindness, just repay it with a spring. Mr. Zhao took advantage of the Ling mansion's defeat and had no matchmaker or employment to get together with his cousin. A worthless scum like you is not worthy of being my husband. My cousin and I are innocent. Even if you hate me and want to break off the engagement, you can't ruin my reputation like this. Ling Chu had a playful smile on his face. Innocent? Your beloved cousin just ran in front of me with a full belly to show off her power. Mr. Zhao, since you have no intention of marrying, I have no intention of marrying. I advise you to find a way to dissolve the engagement between you and me as soon as possible, otherwise your cousin will be impatient to wait. Zhao Jingming's eyes were gloomy. He didn't expect that his cousin would even tell her about the child in order to stimulate her. My cousin just saw that you were trying to earn copper coins by setting up a stall, so she came to give you a banknote out of kindness. But you wanted to destroy her innocence out of jealousy. It is the right choice for me not to marry a jealous person like you. Ling Chu exclaimed, Ah, so the child in your cousin's belly is really not yours? But she just said that she will marry you soon. Mr. Zhao is going to be a father. The whispers around him made Zhao Jing almost vomit blood, but he couldn't retort that the child was his. Those ridicules really embarrassed him, so he could only walk away with a dark face and his sleeves. Ling Chu glanced at the back of the figure who was hurriedly leaving with anger, and his lips curled up. I hope that after this experience, the marriage can be dissolved quickly. The excitement is gone, and the people around are still discussing the gossip just now. Ling Chu had just put away the 100 taels left by Guo Rong when his nose suddenly smelled the smell of rotting corpses mixed with the smell of alcohol. As soon as she raised her head, she saw a puppet, staggering towards her stall as if she was drunk. With just one glance, Ling Chu's expression changed. This puppet soul is nailed with long nails from the top of the head, between the eyebrows, throat, heart, navel, abdomen, to the lower body, hands, and feet. What a sinister way of killing. Ling Chu originally thought that the male puppet was here to find her, but unexpectedly he just glanced this way unconsciously and staggered forward. Such a sinister trick, it would be fine if she didn't see it. But now that she saw it, she couldn't just sit back and watch. If she helps this male puppet, she will definitely accumulate a lot of merit for herself. Just as Ling Chu was about to call out to the puppet soul, he suddenly stopped, turned around and staggered to the stall, knelt down and said, "Please help me take revenge. August is over. Thank you very much to all new and old book friends for your support this month. It is with your support that I can go forward step by step. Thank you for having me. Despite the many shortcomings, I will try my best to present you with more exciting stories in the new month. I hope that in September, everyone can support this book as always. Thank you all again." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 193. Chapter 193 Missing. Hum, bang, bang. Hum, bang, bang. The sound of the copper ring tapping on the wooden board continued for more than a quarter of an hour. The surrounding people were attracted by the sound and gathered around. I saw 4 unfamiliar faces, 2 men and 2 women, knocking on the door in front of a house. An old woman in the crowd couldn't help but walked over curiously. "Hey, who are you? I heard the noise, and you all knocked on the door here." For most of the day, the people inside didn't open the door. Seeing so many people coming around, the person knocking on the door stopped. "Auntie, my name is Liang Zhuang. I'm here to find my third brother. May I ask, Auntie, does a girl named He Xiaoxiu live in this house?" The aunt nodded. "Yes, the girl who lives here is indeed named He Xiaoxiu." "What, she is a relative of yours?" Everyone around looked at Liang Zhuang and the other 2 men and women with curiosity. Liang Zhuang shook his head. "He Xiaoxiu is not a relative of ours. She is a girl that my third brother knows. I wonder if Auntie knows where Miss He has gone. I have been knocking on the door for a long time and no one has come out. He Xiaoxiu, I'm not very familiar with her. It seems I haven't seen her for a while. It's been a long time since I've seen her. The last time I saw her was about 2 months ago." Liang Zhuang did not expect that. After asking around, no one knew where He Xiaoxiu had gone, and no one seemed to have any impression of her. According to the aunt, He Xiaoxiu is not a local, but came here half a year ago. I heard that she was an orphan. She originally came to seek refuge with her cousin who was doing business in Kyoto, but for some reason she couldn't find anyone after she came to Kyoto. With no choice but to rent a house here, I thought that I could slowly look for relatives in the future. Because she lives alone, she usually lives in seclusion and is just acquaintances with most of her neighbors. So these onlookers didn't know where she went at this time." Liang Zhuang's second brother frowned, anxious and helpless. "Brother, what should I do? My third brother has been missing for more than a month. Where can I find him?" As soon as these words were said, everyone present was surprised. "Your third brother is missing? What happened?" Liang Zhuang was still hesitating whether he should say it or not. It was his wife who said, "How long has this happened? Why are you still hiding it? It's important to find your third brother." Liang Zhuang didn't have any good solution, so he had to sigh and tell the story. Liang Bing, the third son of the Liang family, met He Xiaoxiu 3 months ago, and the two have been on good terms. Some time ago, the family discovered that Liang Bing was missing. After asking around, the person who last saw him said that he probably came to see this Miss He. So Liang Zhuang came over with his wife and second brother. I just didn't expect that even He Xiaoxiu is missing now. Liang Zhuang asked around, but no one noticed whether Liang Bing had been here. When the aunt heard about this, she frowned and said, "He Xiaoxiu has always been alone and has no relatives or friends in the capital. It is expected that she will not be away from home for a long time. I don't know if something happened." Everyone was talking about this matter. Some people suggested that Liang Zhuang look elsewhere, while others asked him to climb over the wall and enter the house to see if He Xiaoxiu no longer lived here. Liang Zhuang discussed it with his family and decided to climb over the wall to take a look. Just looked around the wall and gave up. The wall is too high and they can't climb up. Just when I was hesitating whether to borrow a ladder from someone nearby or break down the door and go in, I found a young Taoist nun coming. Ling Chu also didn't expect that as soon as he got off the carriage, he would see a bunch of people gathered in front of a house. What surprised her even more was that when the ghost saw the 2 men and 2 women in the crowd, he immediately floated over crying. After listening, I found out that those people were the male puppet's family members. Liang Bing's ghost did not expect that his family members would find him here. He was so excited that he burst into tears. Unfortunately, no one else could see him except Ling Chu. Liang Zhuang was a little surprised when he saw Ling Chu walking straight towards here. I don't know what brings you here, but you, no Miss He. Ling Chu shook his head. I don't know Miss He, but I just happened to be passing by nearby and noticed a yin energy here, so I came to take a look. This statement is naturally false. The reason why she appears here is because Liang Bing's ghost brought her here. This is not the right thing to say, so she made such an excuse. Yin Qi? The faces of the people present suddenly changed. The Liang family members felt uneasy. Xiang, what kind of yin energy is this? Ling Chu glanced at them and knew that they actually understood, but subconsciously did not want to believe it. Nature is the yin energy formed after death. Why are there dead people? This. Liang Zhuang's second brother interrupted him hastily. Brother, quickly dismantle this door and go in and take a look. The third brother has been missing for so long, I don't know if it is. He wanted to say that he didn't know if he was dead, but he swallowed the words as soon as they reached his lips. Liang Zhuang had already understood what he said, and turned around to ask the onlookers to borrow a ladder. When Ling Chu saw him retreating, he immediately stepped forward, took out a small hammer and smashed the door. There was a loud bang, which startled everyone. Liang Zhuang turned around and found that the 2 doors he had been knocking on for a long time were lying on the ground. Everyone was looking at the door that had fallen to the ground in surprise, when suddenly an angry shout came from behind. Who are you, and why are you gathering here? Ning Chui looked at the group of people in front of him with a cold face. He just took over a case a few days ago, and his people found some clues, so he brought people here today. Unexpectedly, I saw so many people surrounding the house and even demolished the door. Hearing the roar, everyone turned around. Seeing a group of Jinyi guards glaring at them fiercely, they all immediately knelt down with their legs and feet weak. These people all knelt down, revealing a figure standing at the back. Ning Chui raised his eyebrows. Ling Chu also looked surprised when he saw him. Looking around, he found that Liang Zhuang and the others were all kneeling down except for the royal guards. She was the only one left standing. Seeing Liang Zhuang and the others looking at her intentionally or unintentionally, Ling Chu twitched the corner of his mouth. Forget it, she'd better stop being special. He bent his legs and was about to kneel down. Ning Chui had already walked over quickly and said expressionlessly, stand still. This body is so thin that a gust of wind can blow it away, but don't faint in front of him. Ling Chu was stunned for a moment and had to bend his knees and said, I've seen you, sir. Ning Chui let go of her hand and looked at her with raised eyebrows. Why are you here? Following her back, she reached the empty door. It turned out that the noise I heard just now was her banging on the door. Ling Chu said casually, I happened to be passing by nearby and noticed a gloomy air floating over this house, so I came to take a look. Thanks to book friends such as Ying G 798, 20230216687754, Yuan 1, Eastern Han Lao Yao, 201904092228233006, Jiangnan Fueo, etc. for their monthly ticket support. Thank you A. Z, Why You Grow Old, Pros. B.A., Yangliuan, Care, China Fuse, Heartbeat on the left, Yangliuan, 20230208431051, Yujiangzi, 20170318191430830835, Exquisite Heart. AE, Colorful Life, 854-729, Blooming Smile, CHLWCH, White Clouds in the Sky L, Pick Up the Pen to See the Future, Meet Love at the Corner 219, Neither Cat Nor Mouse Can Play, XXC, Can't Think of a Bright Future, Chen, Jiangnan Fueo, Care, 202303061958333531, 20230601621665 and other book friends recommendation votes support it. Thanks to Xiaoxiang's book friends for their support. Thanks to Hungzia for supporting book friends. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 194. Ning Chui lowered his eyes and glanced at her without saying anything. A few steps past her, crossed the threshold and walked inside. Ling Chu silently raised his feet and followed up, "How come you are so lucky to be here, sir? Is it, to investigate a case?" Ning Chui hummed softly as he walked in, "I took over a case a few days ago and found some clues. Come and take a look." What a coincidence that she and he are investigating the same case. But I soon felt something was wrong. Not even his family knew about Liang Bing's death. The Liang family probably hasn't reported the crime yet, so why did Mr. Ning start investigating? While I was wondering, I suddenly heard someone shouting, "Jin Wei is handling the case. Don't disturb anyone else waiting. You can leave quickly." Ling Chu turned around and saw that it was Liang Zhuang and the others who were following him. Hearing Jin Wei's words, although those people stopped, they did not leave. The Jin Wei frowned and was about to draw his sword to drive away. Liang Zhuang didn't know why the Jin Wei came here to investigate the case. Although he was afraid of the commander of the Jin Wei, in order to find his third brother, he had to bite the bullet and salute, "I met Mr. Ning in Liang Zhuang." Ning Chui glanced at him and found that he didn't recognize this person. Liang Zhuang saw the confusion in his eyes and said quickly, "This is Liang Zhuang, the son of Liang Yu, the former head of the Ministry of Civil Affairs Examination Department. Can I go into this house and have a look?" Perhaps because he was afraid of being rejected, Liang Zhuang said in one breath, "That's it? My third brother disappeared a few days ago. I checked for a long time and heard that he was here, so I wanted to go into the house to see if I could find him. Click for clues. Do you know who lives in this house?" Liang Zhuang nodded. He didn't dare to hide it in front of Lord Ning. "It's a girl named He Xiaoxiu. My third brother was dating her a few days ago. I originally intended to marry her, but I didn't expect that. My third brother is missing." Ning Chui didn't expect to be involved in the disappearance case. He glanced at the Liang family and said quietly, "You guys come in and the others leave." Liang Zhuang was overjoyed. After saying thank you, he hurriedly led his family into the yard, following Ning Chui and others in a polite manner, and did not dare to move around at will. Other spectators saw Jin Wei's legs weakening. Some of the timid ones had already quietly left, but some could not bear their curiosity and stood at the gate to peek in secretly. Ning Chui waved his hand to Wei Feng and his people to spread out and search around. Liang Zhuang, his wife, and his second brother did not dare to walk around the house for fear that it would interfere with Jin Wei's errands, so they could only wait anxiously. Half a quarter of an hour later, Wei Feng came back and reported, "Sir, we have searched this house and there is no one in this house. According to my subordinates, the people who live here have been away for more than a month." Even though Liang Zhuang and the others had expected that no one would be in the room, they still couldn't help but be disappointed when they heard Wei Feng's words. "That Miss He has been away for more than a month, and I don't know if she has anything to do with his third brother." Liang Zhuang's wife and sister-in-law looked at each other, and they couldn't help but whisper, "Could it be that the third brother had eloped with that He Xiaoxiu?" Liang Zhuang glared at his wife. Their family had no objection to the third brother marrying Hsiuxiu, so there was no need for the two to elope. Ning Chui stood in the yard, looking at Ling Chu with her hands behind her hands. Did Miss Ling see anything wrong? Ling Chu glanced at Liang Bing, who had been standing far away since Ning Chui came with Jin Yiwei, and motioned for him to lead the way. Glancing at the direction Liang Bing drifted towards, Ling Chu said, "The yin qi is the strongest in the direction of the back room. I wonder if I can go and have a look." "Let's go." Ning Chui turned around first, and Ling Chu quickly followed. There are 3 rooms side by side in the back room. Seeing Ling Chu walking directly towards the one on the right, Wei Feng couldn't help but be curious. "Miss Ling, do you know what's wrong without having to tell fortunes now?" Liang Bing's ghost was right in front of her to guide her, so she didn't need fortune telling. But of course she wouldn't say this. There's no need to tell fortunes. The yin qi is the strongest here, so there must be something wrong. After entering the room on the right, Ling Chu looked around, pointed at the wall to the east and said, "Tear this place down." Ning Chui looked in the direction of her finger. Although she didn't see anything wrong, she still waved to the Jin Yiwei behind her and said, "Do it." Wei Feng and the others immediately stepped forward, but the swords they carried were not suitable for demolishing the wall. Ling Chu simply took out a small hammer and smashed it against the wall. Although she did not use the system to scan, but with Liang Bing's guidance, the hammer hit accurately. As the bricks fell, a hole was revealed in the wall. Seeing the open-fingered palm in the wall, even the well-informed Jin Yiwei suddenly changed his expression. There are actually dead bodies hidden in this wall. Ling Chu raised the hammer and wanted to hit it again, but Ning Chui glanced at Wei Feng expressionlessly. Wei Feng's heart tightened and he stepped forward with a smile. "Miss Ling, you should leave these rough jobs to us, and don't compete with us." She didn't need to do anything, so she was naturally happy to stand by and watch. Ling Chu gave up his position, and Wei Feng immediately led his men forward. The wall has been loosened by the hammer just now, so it will be demolished fairly quickly. But as the corpse inside was exposed, everyone couldn't help but feel numb. Liang Zhuang and others who were standing at the door of the wing watching silently saw the body sealed in the wall and immediately rushed over with great grief. Third brother. Liang Zhuang's wife and sister-in-law were so shocked that their legs and feet became weak when they saw the corpse. It can be seen that the 2 brothers Liang Zhuang rushed over like crazy and broke down the wall with their bare hands. The 2 sisters-in-law had no choice but to step forward to help. When he saw the corpse in the wall clearly, Ning Chui frowned and subconsciously stepped in front of Ling Chu. Seeing Ling Chu's dark eyes staring at him, Ning Chui realized what he had done. Suddenly there was a feeling of uneasiness in my heart. He didn't know why he did this, it was completely subconscious. Seeing the confusion in her eyes, Ning Chui said with a sullen face, "Don't look at it. You are a girl and you have to pay attention to what you should pay attention to. You should wait outside first." There were many long nails nailed to the body, including one on the lower body, which was not suitable for a girl to see. Ling Chu didn't expect that Ning Chui would suddenly stand in front of her because he didn't want her to see the indecentness of the corpse. However, what Ning Chui didn't know was that even if he was blocking her, she still knew what the corpse looked like. Because Liang Bing's puppet soul, like the corpse, was nailed with long nails. She had better not say this. Ning Chui had good intentions after all. Ling Chu thanked him softly and silently turned around and left the wing. After she went out, everyone worked together to tear down the wall, lifted Liang Bing's body out, and placed it on the ground. Seeing Liang Bing's tragic situation, the 2 brothers Liang Zhuang kept wiping their tears. Counting the spikes on the corpse, Wei Feng looked solemn and said, "Sir, this method is exactly the same as the case we are investigating. When I type the thank you list every day, I feel very good. I also hope you will be in a good mood every day. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times." Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 195. Chapter 195. The case 8 years ago. Liang Bing has been dead for more than a month, but the murderer did not know what special medicine was used on his body. When it was sealed in the wall, his body did not rot and there was no smell of corpse stench. But after the walls were torn down, the bodies began to rot, and the room began to be filled with a strong corpse smell. In addition, the windows of this wing were closed tightly, and the unpleasant smell was even more intolerable. Wei Feng asked Jin Yiwei to carry a door panel, and found a piece of cloth to cover Liang Bing's body, and then carried it outside. Ning Chui had already seen that the way Liang Bing was killed was the same as the case 8 years ago. And that case is also related to the Liang family. The two brothers Liang Chuang, seeing Liang Bing's tragic situation, also recalled the memories of that year. The two brothers knelt down in front of Ning Chui. Please find the murderer and let the murderer of my father and third brother pay with blood. Liang Zhuang's wife and sister-in-law stared at their husbands in confusion. How could the death of the third brother involve their father-in-law? Before they married into the Liang family, their father-in-law was already gone, so the cause of his death was not clear. Liang Zhuang's father, Liang Yu, was the head of the merit examination department of the former Ministry of Civil Affairs. 8 years ago, he went to Linan County on errands and was killed on his way back to Beijing. When his body was discovered, just like Liang Bing, 11 long nails were driven into his body. The murderer has never been found. The local government had no choice but to submit the case to the higher authorities. But neither the Dali Temple nor the Ministry of Punishment, after years of investigation, still have no clue. This case became an unsolved case. Not long ago, Jin Yiwei took over. Unexpectedly, before Liang Yu's murderer was caught, his youngest son Liang Bing was killed by the same method. Ling Chu couldn't help but be surprised. It seemed that the murderer had great hatred against the Liang family, so he would use such a cruel method to kill the Liang family father and son. Liang Bing's ghost stood aside, stunned. 8 years ago, he had not yet had his coming-of-age ceremony. With his father as the backbone of the family and 2 older brothers above him, he, as the youngest son in the family, has always lived as he pleased. Although he was studying in college at that time, he didn't study very hard. He spent every day thinking about how to go out to eat, drink and have fun with his classmates and friends. That year, my father went to Linan County on an errand and was killed on his way back to Beijing. When the bad news came back to the house, his mother fainted immediately. The eldest brother and the second brother hurried to Linan County to deal with his father's affairs, leaving him to take care of his mother at home. Not long after his father's body was brought back, the eldest and second brothers hurriedly buried him. At that time, he was only concerned with sadness and grief, and did not even know that his father was killed in such a cruel way. He died in the same way as his father. Could it be that the person who killed him was the murderer of his father? Liang Bing knelt in front of Ling Chu and begged, "Please help me catch the murderer." Ling Chu did not nod, "I have helped your family find your body. Jin Yiwei is responsible for investigating the case and arresting the murderer. She is just a Taoist nun, so she can't really take away all the work of Jin Yiwei. But don't worry, I will try my best to help Jin Yiwei find the murderer." Even though he was helpless, Liang Bing also knew that this case could only be investigated by Jin Yiwei. Over there, the Liang Zhuang brothers are still pleading with Ning Chui to track down the murderer. Jin Yiwei is already investigating your father's case, but it has been more than a month since Liang Bing was killed, and the murderer has long since escaped. Now that the clues have been cut off, it is not easy to catch the murderer. Brothers Liang Zhuang are helpless, but there is no better way. Their father's case has not been investigated clearly for so many years. I don't know when the murderer will be caught. Ling Chu happened to walk over and said casually, "I roughly know the appearance of the murderer." As soon as these words came out, everyone looked at her. Liang Zhuang frowned, "Do you know the murderer? Who is it?" If I catch him, I will definitely make him pay with his blood. Ling Chu shook his head. I don't know the murderer. But didn't you just say that you know the face of the murderer? Yes, I just made a hexagram, so I know it. Ning Chui, I glanced at her thoughtfully. I wonder if Miss Ling can draw the murderer's face. Of course you can. Ling Chu also wanted to catch the murderer as soon as possible and add merit to his own life. Wei Feng was overjoyed. Without waiting for Ning Chui's instructions, he had already gone to find pens, ink, paper, and inkstones. It took 2/4 of an hour for Ling Chu to draw 2 portraits based on Liang Bing's description. Liang Zhuan was shocked when he saw the person on the rice paper. Why is it a girl? This person, is that he Xiaoxiu? But how could she, a weak woman with no strength, kill my third brother? Although the Liang family knew that the girl Liang Bing liked was named He Xiaoxiu, they had never met her. This is indeed He Xiaoxiu, but she was not the only one who killed Liang Bing. Ling Chu handed over another portrait. This is He Xiuying, He Xiaoxiu's eldest sister. Liang Bing still finds it a bit unbelievable. Liang Bing has not liked reading since he was a child, but he likes boxing and kicking. Although he has not seriously studied martial arts with a master, he can defeat 2 ordinary men. How could the He sisters kill him? Could it be that they were actually good at martial arts? Liang Bing smelled of alcohol. He was probably drunk and then killed. Ling Chu glanced at Ning Chui and his guess was accurate. Liang Bing liked He Xiaoxiu, but she never agreed to the marriage. More than a month ago, Liang Bing came to see her. When he brought up the marriage again, he didn't expect He Xiaoxiu to finally agree to the marriage. Liang Bing was so happy that he lost his head at that time. He was even more happy when He Xiaoxiu offered to cook a table of delicious dishes and let him try her cooking skills. Liang Bing was so happy that after returning, he asked his mother to find a matchmaker to discuss the marriage. But he didn't know that He Xiaoxiu didn't really want to marry him. She just wanted to get him drunk while he was happy, and then kill him. Liang Bing hated it so much when he thought of the severe pain of being nailed to his body by those long nails. At this moment, he no longer had any joy for He Xiaoxiu. He just wanted to find her and ask her what kind of hatred she had with the Liang family, and why she wanted to kill their father and son in such a cruel way. Ning Chui asked Wei Feng to take the 2 portraits to a painter to make rubbings, intending to post them on the city wall to arrest the 2 sisters He Xiaoxiu. With such a realistic portrait, it is only a matter of time before we find the murderer. While Ning Chui thanked him, Ling Chu asked him to help find the eldest son of Duke Zhao. She can't just wait for Zhao Qiagong's government to propose breaking off the engagement. If she finds out that Zhao Jingming has any evidence, she won't mind using it to threaten him to terminate the engagement. Chasing the crown prince of Zhao Qiagong is just a trivial matter for Jin Yiwei, so Ning Chui will naturally not object. Thanks to Amon 76, 1205290203515551, Pichin, Yingja 798, Lin Han Yanking, China Fuse, Electrical Appliances and other book friends for their monthly support. Thanks to Ivikua, Tienulan, Zazug, Yangliuan, 854-729, Yangliuan, Ba, asterisk carat. Asterisk, Yingja 798, Zinkson Mama, Long 553, CHLWCH, The Heartbeat on the Left, Why We Grow Old, I Can't Figure It Out, 2023-032-1629. CE, Mentioning the Future with a Pen, 2023-032-1629. CE, Falling Snow.be, The Wind of the Blue Planet, Neither Cat nor Mouse Can Play, Panax Noto Ginseng. DB. Prose. BA 20230601621658. Supported by the recommendation votes of 202303061958333531, Chen and other book friends. Thanks to Xiaoxiang's book friends for their support. Thanks to Hungzhou for supporting book friends. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 196. 3 days have passed since the last time the Prince of Zhaoqiagong walked away in anger, and there has been no news about breaking off the engagement. Ling Chu was thinking about whether to go to Master Ning and ask if he had found out any information. The red sleeves floated in through the wall. Ling Chu glanced at him and warned, "Stay away. Since you are a puppet, you have to be conscious of being a puppet. Don't let your yin qi get onto a living person." Hong Xiu was angry, but she was worried about Ling Chu's whip and didn't dare to float past it again. She could only lean against the wall in frustration. Since she couldn't beat her, and she had to rely on Ling Chu to help her get revenge, Hong Xiu didn't dare to show any anger. Ling Chu was satisfied to see her behave herself. "Tell me, what brought you here? Did you discover anything?" "Miss Ling, Grandma Wang went home on vacation today. Her son Feng Leshun lost a bet again and owes a large sum of money to the gambling house. Feng Leshun is discussing with Grandma Wang to leave Beijing to avoid debt. Hong Xiu is worried that if Feng Leshun leaves the capital, she doesn't know how long it will take to avenge her." "How much money does Feng Leshun owe?" "Before I died, he owed more than 6,000 taels. Grandma Wang managed the warehouse in Zhaoqiagong's mansion, stole some small items and sold them out of the mansion, and helped Feng Leshun pay off more than half of the debt. But Feng Leshun did not stop, taking the money given by his mother. He wanted to make a comeback. But the more he gambled, the more he lost. After my death, he owed more than 8,000 taels. Which gambling house does he owe money to? Is it Changle House?" "That's right." Ling Chu guessed that it seemed that Grandma Wang had no money to help her son pay off his debts, so Feng Leshun wanted to leave Beijing to avoid debts. How could Hu Baxian let Feng Leshun leave the capital when he owed such a large sum of money to Changle Feng? This is an opportunity. Mother Wang must be in urgent need of money now. She might be able to use this opportunity to dig out some secrets from her mouth. Although Ning Chui has promised to help her find the Prince of Zhaoqiagong, she can't look to him every time she encounters a problem. If you can solve things yourself, don't bother others. Seeing Hong Xiu's anxious expression, Ling Chu put down the teacup and stood up. "You go back and keep an eye on Grandma Wang and her son. I'll be there later." Hong Xiu was overjoyed, responded, and immediately floated away through the wall. It seems that being a puppet also has the advantage of being a puppet. You can just float to where you want to go, and the speed is quite fast. Ling Chu didn't waste any time and left the house with his 2 maids. Grandma Wang's husband and son neither work as servants in the Duke Zhao's mansion, so they do not live in the Duke Zhao's mansion, but rent a house outside. Although Grandma Wang is on duty at Duke Zhao's mansion on weekdays, she will return to her own home during her breaks. Most of the people living in Qinghe Lane are servants of some wealthy families nearby. Grandma Wang lives in this area. I don't know if Hu Baxian went to Feng Leshun to collect his debt. If not, Ling Chu wouldn't mind having someone send him a letter. What Ling Chu didn't expect was that as soon as she entered Grandma Wang's house, she saw Hu Baxian. When Hu Baxian saw her, he immediately started to feel a headache. "Miss Ling, are you here to collect debts? What kind of luck did he have to meet this ancestor again? Could it be that all the money was taken away by her this time, and he could only return empty-handed?" Ling Chu glanced at Hu Baxian's bitter face and shook his head with a smile. "Don't worry, I'm not here to collect debts." Although she didn't like the bully, she was quite happy to see him at Grandma Wang's house this time. Hu Baxian was relieved when he heard that she was not here to collect debts. Grandma Wang said with a dark face, "Miss Ling, are you in the wrong place? You're right, I did some fortune telling today and there seems to be something wrong with your family. Let me take a look." Grandma Wang was worried about her son, and she was even more angry after hearing this. There is nothing wrong with my family. I have things to do here and I don't have time to entertain you. Miss Ling, please come back. Ling Chu seemed to not understand what she was saying to chase people away, and said with a familiar face, "It's okay, don't pay attention to me. Just go about your business, I will just watch from the side, and I will never disturb you." Grandma Wang was furious, and Hu Bassian was already impatient. "Stop whining and whining, take out the money quickly, I don't have time to listen to your nonsense." Feng Leshun nodded and bowed to please him. "Mr. Hu, I really don't have any money at home. Please be patient for a few days. When I can raise the money, I will definitely pay it back to you." "It's this rhetoric again, my ears are ringing with noise." "Feng Leshun, I have given you half a year. No matter what happens today, you must get the money. Don't think he doesn't know, Feng Leshun is planning to sneak out of Beijing today and wants to default on his debt. Mr. Hu, please do a good job and give me a little more tolerance. Don't worry, my mother will not ignore me. She will definitely find a way to help me raise money." Feng Leshun was extremely frustrated. He didn't expect Hu Bassian to come to his door so soon. If his mother hadn't been so stubborn and unwilling to give him money, he would have left the capital early today. Hu Bassian had already found out the identity of Grandma Wang and knew that she was a servant of the Duke of Zhao. "Ms. Wang, if you want a son, please take out the money quickly, otherwise don't blame me for being rude." At this moment, Grandma Wang ignored Ling Chu and said with a smile, "Master Hu, please be tolerant for a little longer, my family really doesn't have that much money. Although my family Leshun owes more than 6,000 taels, half of it has been repaid, and more than 3,000 taels are still owed. Sir, please be tolerant for a while, and when I raise the money, I will definitely return it to you." Wang Yan laughed on his face, and in his heart, he had begun to think about the warehouses of Zhao Guo's government. What kind of humble small things can be stolen and changed out of the house? I didn't see Feng Leshun's expression change when she heard her mention more than 3,000 taels. Hu Bassian glanced at Grandma Wang coldly. "Feng Leshun owes not just more than 3,000 taels, but 10,780 taels." As soon as these words were spoken, Grandma Wang's eyes immediately went dark. Soon he screamed again, "What, more than 10,000 taels? This is impossible." Hu Bassian sneered and took a stack of eas from the follower behind him. "It's clearly written in black and white. I didn't lie to you." When Grandma Wang saw the pile of eas, she felt like the sky was falling. Angry, he rushed towards Feng Leshun, raising his hands and crying at the same time, "You prodigal son, didn't you say you stopped gambling? Why do you owe so much money again? Are you crazy? How can you pay back so much money?" Feng Leshun became angry after being hit by her several times. He pushed her impatiently and said, "Mom, it's only 10,000 taels. The Duke of Zhao's house is so rich. If you slip through your fingers, you'll find more than this amount of money. You can get more money from the warehouse. If you take out a few more things and exchange them for silver, you can pay off the money. Please vote. Please vote. Please vote. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times." Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 197. Grandma Wang didn't expect that her son would say this in front of outsiders. She was so shocked that she wanted to rush over and cover his mouth to stop him from talking anymore. Unexpectedly, Feng Leshun pushed him and staggered. Mother Wang was angry and sad, but her son said it lightly, but he didn't know the pain in her heart. Hu Bassian was already impatient with waiting, and shouted angrily with a dark face, "Okay, hurry up and take out the money. If you want to make a fuss, when the debt is paid off, you can make whatever fuss you want." Grandma Wang stretched out her hand and wiped away her tears. "Mr. Hu, I really don't have that much money in my hand. Please give me a little more grace." Hu Basian didn't believe her when she said she had no money. It seems that you won't shed tears until you see the coffin. If that's the case, don't blame me for being cruel. He waved his hand to the thug behind him and said, chop off Feng Leshun's fingers. Yes, boss. The 7 or 8 thugs who followed Hu Basian immediately rushed towards Feng Leshun with fierce looks. Seeing that they were serious, Feng Leshun turned pale and cried to Grandma Wang, Mother, mother, please help me quickly. Grandma Wang rushed over, stopped in front of him, and begged Hu Basian to tolerate him for a few more days. However, Hu Basian remained unmoved. The thugs rushed forward and grabbed Feng Leshun, regardless of the obstruction, and dragged him away. Feng Leshun was angry and anxious. Please wait a moment, sir. I will pay you back right away. Seeing that he finally relented, Hu Basian waved his hand to signal the thugs to stop first. Feng Leshun quickly yelled at his mother, Mom, what are you doing standing still? Hurry back to the Duke's mansion to get your things. Grandma Wang glared at him angrily. The warehouse of Duke Zhao's mansion does not belong to her. If someone knew that she had stolen something from it, she would definitely not end up well. Although she had stolen a few things in exchange for money before, they were all inconspicuous and unmarked small things. She didn't dare to take those big and expensive things. In the past few days, Mrs. Zhao Qiagong was planning to have someone check the warehouse, but she did not dare to do it again. In case of this, the position of her care of the matter will definitely be stunned, and maybe she may be ordered by Mrs. Zhao Qiagong. Where can she find 10,000 taels to repay the debt? Seeing that Grandma Wang was motionless, Hu Basian waved his hand. A thug with a gloomy face behind him immediately took out a dagger and walked straight towards Feng Leshun. Feng Leshun's face was full of panic. While struggling, he desperately called his mother to go to Zhao Qiagong's house to get something to save him. Hands of her son were to be chopped off, and naturally Grandma Wang couldn't bear it. But she couldn't help it. Ling Chu was engaged to the crown prince of Zhao Qiagong after all. Although Mrs. Zhao Qiagong didn't like her, Grandma Wang was worried that if she found out about stealing things from her, Mrs. Zhao Qiagong would definitely not be able to spare her. Grandma Wang had no choice but to kneel down and beg for mercy from Hu Basian. However, Hu Basian would not stop if he could not see the money. With one look, the thug slashed with his dagger. With a miserable howl, Feng Leshun's little finger was chopped off bloody. Grandma Wang trembled in her heart and kowtowed to Hu Basian. As a bully, what tricks has Hu Basian not seen before? Even if Grandma Wang knocked her forehead and it bled, she would not blink an eye. Ling Chu had been standing aside and watching silently. It wasn't until the thug raised the dagger for the second time that she slowly shouted, "Wait a minute." The veins on Hu Basian's forehead throbbed. The more he was afraid of something, the more he would get it. Even though he was reluctant, he waved to the thug first. Then he asked, "I wonder what's wrong with Miss Ling." Ling Chu smiled and said, "It's not a big deal, I just have something I want to ask Grandma Wang." "Please wait a moment." "Okay, since the girl has something to do, I'll wait for a moment." Hu Basian suppressed his dissatisfaction in his heart and did not dare to express it too much. Mainly because he did not dare to offend the commander of the Imperial Guard. Grandma Wang originally didn't want to see Ling Chu, but now she was grateful to her for stopping Hu Basian. "I wonder what the girl wants to ask." Ling Chu glanced at Feng Leshun who had passed out, and then said slowly, "As the saying goes, the pain is in the child's body, but the pain is in the mother's heart. I don't know, Mama, do you want to save your son? She only has a son, why don't she want to save him?" Seeing her son who had passed out, Grandma Wang wished she could take her own life. It's just that she didn't believe that Ling Chu would be so kind to help her. Moreover, the Ling mansion has been defeated, how could she still have so much money on her body? Ling Chu took out the piece of yellow jade he had bet with Han Yao in the Qiu Pavilion last time. Grandma Wang is in charge of the warehouse of Duke Zhao's mansion. She has seen a lot of good things, and she can tell at a glance that this piece of jade is a good thing. I have no money, but this jade is more than enough to cover your debt of 10,000 taels. What does the girl want from me? Not too stupid, knowing that she would not give her the piece of emerald in vain. Mother Wang has been in the Duke of Zhao's mansion for many years, so she must know a lot of things, right? Young lady, you want to inquire about the Duke of Zhao's mansion so that you can please the Duke's wife and the prince after entering the house. Ling Chu shook his head. I will not marry the eldest son of Zhao Qiuagong. I said last time that I would cancel the engagement. That's the Duke's mansion. Is the girl really willing to have such a good marriage? Mom, there is no need to tempt you. I will definitely cancel this marriage. Mother Wang was really surprised, but she didn't care to delve into it at this time. What does the girl want to know? Tell me what you know. Whether you can save your son depends on whether what you say is worth 10,000 taels. Since the purpose of inquiring about Duke Zhao's residence is not to please the Duke's wife and the prince, it is to get some evidence and use it as a threat. This is to ask her to exchange the secrets of Zhao Qiuagong's mansion for money. Hu Baxian's eyes were filled with greed when he saw Huang Fei. It's just that although he coveted this piece of jade, he didn't dare to have any evil thoughts. At this moment, he was hoping that Grandma Wang would reveal more secrets in exchange for this piece of jade. As long as the jade is in her hands, it is considered to be his. Seeing Grandma Wang's eyes rolling and looking shrewdly calculating, Ling Chu said quietly, there's no need to talk about the Prince Zhao Guo sleeping with the maid and his relationship with the eldest daughter of Zongqin's house. I know all about it. Grandma Wang was stunned. Just now she was wondering how much money she could exchange for this matter. Unexpectedly, she already knew. Grandma Wang racked her brains to think about what could be worth exchanging 10,000 taels for. After thinking about it, the secret of the Crown Prince Zhao Qiuagong is still worth some money. As long as the secret is revealed, she is afraid that she will no longer be able to stay in Zhao Qiuagong's mansion. Otherwise, if the Duke's wife knew about it, she would be beaten to death without saying a word. Although she was reluctant to part with the errands in the Duke's office, she couldn't care less about it now. Although she was annoyed that Feng Leshun owed a huge gambling debt, she was her only son after all. How could Grandma Wang really have the heart to do nothing to save her? Thanks to book friend 1702241824352558 for the reward. Thanks to book friends such as 1702241824352558, 201711190722184112, Hug Huo Gummy, Chen Rong, 2018091112210378 etc. for their monthly votes. Thank you for 20170318181914308335, 20230208431051, UN1, Reading Happy, 2021022120741050, Yangliu N, UN1, Chen Rong, Ken.ce, Baiyun L, Yangliuan, China, Zeng, 2017031819143085, Chen, Sankai. DB, Prose. BA, neither cat nor mouse can play, Sihide, 854-729, Hug Gummy, Luolugo. BA, Travail, pick up the pen to see the future, Prose. BA, 202303061958333531, Kingsha Makeup, 123, Phoenix, 641,417, 2023-032-1629. CE, 20230601621658, asterisk carat. Carat O carat asterisk, 202110061103306337, Maple Bridge Night Mooring 0507, Helka, Heartbeat on the left, 140212184021428 and other book friends recommendation votes are supported. Thanks to the book friends who support Hungziu. Thanks to the book friends who support Hungziu. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 198. Chapter 198, All Men and Women. Miss Ling, if I told you, would you really give me this piece of jade? Ling Chu could tell at a glance that Grandma Wang was moved. It seems that the Zhaoqiagong mansion really has a secret. She found the right one when she came to see Grandma Wang. Whether I will give it to you depends on whether what you say is worth the price of this jade. Grandma Wang hesitated again. She was not sure whether what she was talking about was worth the price. What if she tells the secret but regrets it? Ling Chu couldn't tell what she was thinking, so he deliberately glanced at Hu Baxian and the thugs next to him. Mother Wang, if you want to speak, hurry up, otherwise Hu Baxian may not be able to wait any longer. Hu Baxian was paying close attention to this side. When he heard her words, the flesh on his face twitched. He wanted to say that he didn't mind waiting. After all, he was also very moved by that piece of jade. He was hoping that Grandma Wang could get the jade to pay off the debt, so that he could use the jade to please Tao Chang, the chief steward of Changelfang. Wang Yan saw Hu Biatian and the fighters stared at himself evilly, and couldn't help but snoring in his heart, and saw the stunned son, and finally bite his teeth. His heart was horizontal. Chao Lingchu came closer and said quickly in a low and inaudible voice, "Our prince not only likes women, he also likes men." Hearing what Grandma Wang said, Ling Chu felt extremely sick. Then Zhao Jingming looks like a human, but he is a man of both genders. She felt that her ears were contaminated and she would have to wash them thoroughly after returning. Does Grandma know who the person he likes is? Ling Chu asked, not Guo Rong, but who the man Zhao Jingming liked. It's a pity that Grandma Wang didn't know. I only know that the prince sometimes secretly goes to visit the tavern. I know this accidentally. I hope the girl will never tell anyone. Ling Chu glanced at Grandma Wang and did not respond to her words. Do you have anything else to say, Grandma? This matter is not worth my piece of jade. Grandma Wang immediately became anxious. How can you keep your words from your words? Ling Chu interrupted her rudely. When did I stop keeping my words? I said it from the beginning. Whether I will give you that piece of jade depends on what you said and whether it is worth the price of the piece of jade. Instead of arguing with me about this, Mammy should think about it carefully, but there is other news that can be exchanged for money. Grandma Wang was angry and resentful, but she didn't expect that what she was most worried about would happen. Even though she was angry, she still wanted Ling Chu to give her some more money to save her son, so she had no choice but to suppress her anger. I racked my brains and thought about it, but I didn't think of anything else that could be exchanged for money. Although she was in charge of the warehouse in Duke Zhao's mansion, she was only a small steward of the inner house. She had no access to important things. About Zhao Jingming, she had to listen to what another steward said. Since Mammy has nothing else to say, I can't give you this piece of jade. Considering what you just said, Mama, use this banknote to pay off your debt. Ling Chu put away the jade with an expressionless expression. Took out a banknote and handed it over. Grandma Wang stared at the 100 taels, wishing she could rush over and strangle her to death. This is to treat her as a beggar. Miss Ling, the secret I just told you is worth not only 10,000 taels, but at least 5,000. Ling Chu sneered. If it weren't for the fact that he could still use it, she wouldn't even give him 5 cents, let alone 5,000. Hu Baxian waited for a long time, but he didn't expect that Grandma Wang couldn't get the piece of jade. In a rage, he immediately asked the thugs who followed him to drag Feng Lai to the ground. The thugs were rough in their movements, and perhaps they touched Feng Lai's severed finger, and the excruciating pain woke him up from his coma. As soon as he opened his eyes and saw the thugs coming to arrest him, He immediately started crying in fear. People living nearby have long been aware of the movement at Grandma Wang's house. In addition, Feng Leshun was crying so loudly that some people outside the door were curiously poking their heads. Feng Yushong stood outside the crowd with a sullen face, his fists clenched tightly, and the veins on the back of his hands protruded ferociously. Seeing the thugs pressing down on Feng Leshun, the thug who had chopped off a finger raised his dagger again. Grandma Wang was like crazy and wanted to rush forward to stop her. Feng Yushong, who couldn't bear it anymore, quickly squeezed out of the crowd, rushed into the courtyard and shouted, "Stop!" When she saw him, Grandma Wang was surprised and happy. His lips moved, but he didn't dare to speak. Feng Yushong didn't look at her, but took out a few banknotes from his arms and handed them over. "I still have some money here, Mr. Hu, take it first. Please be patient with the rest. When you have enough money, I will return it to you as soon as possible." Hu Bassian stretched out his hand to take the banknote, opened it and took a look, his face turned cold. 300 taels, you send the beggar. Feng Leshun owes 10,780 taels. You don't even have a change for this little money, not enough. Of course Feng Yushong didn't know enough, but this was all the money he could get. Outside the crowd, Feng Yushong's wife Wu was furious. She didn't expect that the head of the family would use all the family money to pay off Wang's son's gambling debt. That is a bottomless pit. Once the banknote is given out, don't expect Mrs. Wang and her son to have the money to pay it back. Feng Yushong was still nodding and bowing to Hu Bassian with an apologetic smile, wanting to ask him to be more tolerant. Wu ran into the yard angrily. "Master, are you crazy? You used all the money at home to pay off gambling debts to outsiders, so what can I eat and drink with my two daughters?" Ling Chu shook his head. It seemed that Wu was another poor person who had been betrayed by his own men without knowing it. Feng Leshun was probably aroused by the word outsider and was afraid that Wu would force Feng Yushong to take the banknote back. Dad, save me quickly, I don't want to be beheaded, I don't want to become a cripple." As soon as Feng Leshun's cry for help came out, everyone inside and outside the courtyard widened their eyes. Feng Leshun was so frightened that although Feng Yushong also had the surname Feng, he was not his father. Mother Wang's vision went dark. At this moment, she really wanted to sew her son's mouth shut with needle and thread. Feng Yushong was originally smiling apologetically at Hu Bassian, but Feng Leshun's dad made the smile on his face suddenly stiffen. Ling Chu suddenly laughed. Feng Leshun's shouting daddy was really good. She was originally worried about how to reveal his identity, but she didn't expect that he would do it on his own. Wu frowned and stared at Feng Leshun. After a long while, he glanced at Wang, and then looked at Feng Yushong suspiciously. Grandma Wang felt uneasy at her sight and did not dare to look at Mr. Wang at all. Seeing her guilty look, the anger in Wu's heart suddenly shot up from the soles of her feet to the top of her head. Asking for votes. Asking for votes. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 199. Feng Yushong could see his wife's expression and knew that she had become suspicious. Even though he was not afraid of the Wu family, in front of everyone, he could only pretend to be helpless. "Leshun, you are so scared that I am your Uncle Feng, not your father." Feng Leshun knew he shouldn't call him daddy, but Hu Bassian's thugs still held him tightly, and the extremely sharp dagger frightened him even more. How could he care about so much at this time? Angrily, he opened his mouth and shouted, "No. You are my father. I am about to be beheaded, how can you still not save me?" Seeing Feng Leshun's right hand without the little finger, Feng Yushong felt distressed, but he could only smile dryly. It seems that the child was really frightened. Some people couldn't help but shake their heads. Feng Leshun, although Feng Yuzhong is kind enough to help you pay off your debts, you can't call him dad. If you recognize someone else as your dad, what do you want him to do when your dad comes back? Mother Wang was helpless, but she couldn't say anything. She could only wink at Feng Leshun and tell him to stop talking. Wu originally thought that Feng Yuzhong was having an affair with Wang, but now she was not sure again. Feng Leshun saw Wang's pleading eyes and hesitated in his heart. If he didn't say it, his hands would be chopped off, but if he did, his mother would be cast aside. Seeing that he didn't speak anymore, Feng Yuzhong and Grandma Wang secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Ling Chu glanced at the male puppet holding Feng Yuzhong's neck, and suddenly said coolly to Feng Leshun, "Since he is not your father, what about your father? If you don't call him back to help you pay off the debt, I'm afraid your hands can't keep it." Feng Leshun's face turned pale, he thought. But that man was already dead, how could he call him back? No, his mother is unwilling to save him. If he doesn't seize this opportunity, Hu Basian will definitely have his whole hand chopped off. He doesn't want to be a useless person. Feng Leshun looked at Feng Yuzhong pleadingly, "Dad, can you really bear to watch my hands being chopped off? I am your only son. If you don't save me, your son will die." Wu stared at Feng Yuzhong with red eyes. "Master, tell the truth, is Feng Leshun your son?" Feng Yuzhong was upset by Feng Leshun's cry. When he heard her question, he immediately yelled at her angrily, "What are you talking about? How can he be my son?" Wang was angry and helpless, so she could only say to Feng Leshun, "Son, how can you talk nonsense? Your father has returned to his hometown." Feng Leshun interrupted her impatiently, "I'm not talking nonsense. Uncle Feng is my father." Mrs. Wu could no longer hold back the anger in her heart and rushed towards Mrs. Wang, "You are a shameless bitch. You are still trying to seduce other people's husbands like a vixen even when you are old. Go to hell." Wu is not good at speaking and not good looking. She was just the woman in charge of bathing in Duke Zhao's mansion. Wang was better looking than her when she was young, and she was better at winning the favor of Mrs. Zhao Qiagong than she was, so she could be the steward. And Feng Leshun was a small steward in the front yard of Zhao Qiagong's mansion. Wu didn't expect that these two people would hook up together behind her back and give birth to a son, Feng Leshun. While Grandma Wang was embarrassed to block Wu's scratching, she argued hurriedly, "I didn't. How could Lai Shun be Yu Zhong's child? If you don't believe it, wait until Lai Shun's father comes back and ask him if Lai Shun is his child." Feng Yuzhong shouted angrily at Wu with a dark face, "Have you made enough trouble? Why don't you go back quickly and be embarrassed by staying here?" Seeing how angry he was, Mrs. Wu couldn't help but stop her hand. "Feng Leshun is really not your son. No." As soon as Feng Yuzhong finished speaking, there was a loud noise. Everyone who was watching the gossip with great interest was startled by the sound. Sun Sheng turned around and took a look. The peach tree in the corner of the yard was uprooted and fell to the ground. Ling Chu curled his lips and quietly put away the small hammer. When Grandma Wang saw this scene, her legs and feet immediately went weak. Feng Leshun was also startled, swallowed his saliva, and looked away guiltily, not daring to look at the peach tree again. Everyone is puzzled. The peach tree is growing well. It has not withered and there is no strong wind now. It was so good, why was it suddenly uprooted? It's really strange. Grandma Wang swallowed her saliva and was thinking about finding some soil to fill the tree hole. Ling Chu suddenly reached out and pointed toward the tree pit and exclaimed, "What is that?" Wang Yan jumped, and hurriedly, "Nothing." Soon after this tree was planted, Su didn't grow well, so it fell down. Even though Grandma Wang tried to be calm, her voice could not hide her nervousness. Some people looked at her suspiciously. It was just a tree. It fell down. Why did Ms. Wang look like she was afraid of something? A child saw the tree falling to the ground, and he didn't know if he thought it was funny, but he suddenly rushed over there. Grandma Wang's expression changed, and before she could stop her, the child had already rushed to the tree pit. Just as he was about to jump down, he suddenly fell back in horror and screamed, "Ah, hands, hands, hands." Seeing that something was wrong with the child, his mother rushed through the crowd and hugged him. The woman's eyes fell into the tree pit, and her expression suddenly changed. How could there be a human hand in the tree pit? This scene was so terrifying that the woman didn't think much about it, turned around, picked up the child, and stumbled towards the crowd. This time, everyone saw that something was wrong. A few brave men met and walked over. When they saw the exposed human hand, they couldn't help but feel chills in their hearts. Ms. Wang, how come there are dead people buried in your yard? Mother Wang's eyes dodged. I don't know. Grandma Wang wanted to be vague, but Ling Chu would not let her do so. This is your home, how could you not know? Didn't you just say that the peach tree was planted not long ago? You must have dug up the tree and buried the body underneath, which caused the tree to fail to grow and fall down. Grandma Wang cried out in her heart. She didn't dig up the peach tree at all, and the body wasn't buried under the tree at all, just buried beside it. But she couldn't say this. Mother Wang, who is that body? Grandma Wang stared at Ling Chu, secretly annoyed that she didn't open the pot and lift it. I didn't bury that body, let alone who he is. At this point, I'm still so stubborn. Ling Chu was about to summon a shovel to dig out the body. Suddenly a familiar voice came from outside the crowd. Wei Feng, please go to Dali Temple to report that a murder case was discovered here. Yinsha, take people to dig out the deceased and wait for the widower to come over and conduct an autopsy. Ning Chui gave 2 orders in succession, and Grandma Wang immediately collapsed with a face ashen as death. Thanks to Yi Chongxian and thanks to Yu Changxian and Jiangnan Fueo for their monthly ticket support. Thank you for the left heartbeat, 140212184021428, this moment, laughing with you, 201703181914308335, Yanglia Bank, Maple Bridge Night Mooring 0507, *. Carat, the years are quiet, Fei Fi, 20230208431051, China Fuse, 854-729. MRS. 10, why do you grow old? Exquisite and clear heart. AE. UN1, prose. BA, cat and mouse are not playing, CHLWCH, travail, pick a bye to come to the future, pigs in the sunny day, pick a bye to come to the future, 140212184201428 and other book friends recommendation votes support. Thanks to the book friends who support Hungziu. Thanks to the book friends who support Hungziu. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 200. Yinsha took a few guards in royal robes and quickly dug out the body from the tree pit. Once the face of the corpse was clearly seen, the crowd of people watching exploded. Oh my god, isn't this Feng Guan? Wang, you actually killed Le Shun's father. I killed someone and I couldn't bury him anywhere, I actually buried him in my own yard. I wasn't afraid that Feng Guan would come back and knock on the door at night. Le Shun, who killed your father, was it your mother? Feng Le Shun's eyes flickered and he waved his hands. Don't ask me, I don't know. Grandma Wang also shook her head and denied it strongly. Don't talk nonsense, I didn't kill him. Someone who was close to Mr. Wang looked suspicious and said, Guan came to obey his father. How could Mr. Wang kill him? That's right, Wang and Feng Guan have been married for decades and have never had a quarrel or blush. How could they kill him for no reason? Ling Chu had been listening quietly to everyone's discussion, and then suddenly said, but don't you think something is wrong? What's wrong? Feng Guan died. Wang and Feng Leshun didn't know about it. The body was buried in her yard, and neither mother nor son knew about it. Don't you think it's strange? Most importantly, Wang, mother and son were not surprised at all when they saw Feng Guan's body, and there was no sadness on their faces. As soon as these words were said, everyone looked at Grandma Wang and Feng Leshun. There was indeed no sadness on either of their faces. Wang didn't cry when she saw her husband dead, and Feng Leshun didn't cry when he saw his father's body. Is there anything you don't understand now? The faces of Wang, mother, and son were stiff. They were only thinking about how to deny the murder and couldn't care about anything else for the moment. It was only then that I saw the strange looks in everyone's eyes that I remembered that normal people would be so sad and crying when they see someone in their family die. Grandma Wang glared at Ling Chu with resentment. If it weren't for this bitch, how could anyone else suspect that she was the one who killed him? Ning Chui asked someone to report to Dali Temple, and the young minister of Dali Temple hurried over with his wife. The cause of Feng Guan's death was quickly determined. There were many wounds on the body of the deceased, the most serious one on the back of the head. Judging from these wounds, the deceased was beaten to death with a blunt instrument. Ling Chu glanced at the white-faced Grandma Wang and Feng Leshun, and deliberately asked the young minister of Dali Temple, "Excuse me, my lord, if you beat someone to death, according to the laws of our court, what will be the sentence?" The young minister of Dali Temple said concisely, "According to the law, he should be sentenced to death by hanging." As soon as he said these words, Feng Leshun was so frightened that he cried to Wang, "Mother, mother, save me, I don't want to be sentenced to hanging, I don't want to die." Grandma Wang's vision went dark and she almost died of anger. How could she give birth to such a stupid son? Feng Leshun's words are tantamount to self-defeating. She was desperately trying to think of how to deny the crime of murder, but she didn't expect that she panicked before anyone else interrogated her. "Mom, save me quickly, I don't want to die." Wang stared at him with hatred. How to save him? She couldn't even protect herself. Seeing that his mother was not moving, Feng Leshun was shocked and angry. He could only turn around and cry to Feng Yuzhong, "Dad, please save me quickly. I am your only son. If I die, you will have no heirs." Feng Yuzhong's face turned pale, and he felt anxious and regretful. If there was a way, why wouldn't he save him? But facing the commander of Jin Yiwei and the young minister of Dali Temple, he had nothing to do. Feng Leshun cried and begged for a long time, but when neither his mother nor Feng Yuzhong said anything, the resentment in his heart suddenly broke out. He had a gambling debt, his father refused to save him money, and his mother watched helplessly as his hands were chopped off. Now that Feng Guan's body has been discovered, he is going to be arrested and sentenced to hanging, but he is still unwilling to save him. In this case, don't blame him. Feng Leshun quickly rushed to Ning Chui and the young minister of Dali Temple, knelt down and kowtowed, "Sir, Feng Guan is not my biological father. I was born from an affair between my mother and Feng Yuzhong. 5 days ago, Feng Yuzhong took advantage of my father's outing. He came to have an affair with my mother. Unexpectedly, my father came back early and broke up their affair, so they teamed up and killed him." Feng Yuzhong and Wang stared at Feng Leshun. Neither of them could have imagined that in order to escape, Feng Leshun would put all the blame on them. How could they give birth to such a selfish son? Even though Feng Yuzhong and Wang were angry with him and wanted to deny it, after all, this was their biological son, and he was the only one. Both of them could not bear to see him also sentenced to hanging. "Sir, Feng Guan's death has nothing to do with me, don't arrest me." Feng Leshun didn't even look at his mother or Feng Yuzhong, but kept begging Ning Chui and the young minister of Dali Temple not to arrest him. Ling Chu did not intend to let him go unpunished. "It has nothing to do with you, I can't see it, right? The fact is that Feng Guan went home early and broke up the adultery between Wang and Feng Yuzhong. It happened that you lost a bet from the gambling house and went home to ask your father for money. but your father already knows that you are not his biological son and refuses to give you money. You want to take the money away out of resentment. When Wang and Feng Yuzhong saw that their adultery was exposed, they did not stop. They joined forces with Yu and beat Feng Guan to death with bricks, and then buried the body under the peach tree. Mother Wang, her son, and Feng Yuzhong stared at Ling Chu with ghostly expressions on their faces. He actually said that the score was exactly the same. Had they not known that no outsiders were there at the time, they would all have thought that she saw it with their own eyes. Ling Chu ignored the resentful looks from the three men and said, "Ms. Wang, not only did you and Feng Leshun kill Feng Guan, but you and your son also tortured Hongxiu to death." Ling Chu said to the young minister of Dali Temple, "Sir, there are scars on the body of Hongxiu, Feng Leshun's wife. You can ask the widower to open the coffin and check it out." "I didn't, you're talking nonsense, I didn't kill anyone." Feng Leshun didn't want to die, so he denied it wildly. However, the young minister of Dali Temple waved his hand for the officials who were following him to come forward and catch him. "Whether it was you who killed him or not, we adults will investigate clearly." Hu Baxian watched helplessly as Grandma Wang, Feng Yuzhong, and Feng Leshun were taken away by the officials. He was angry in his heart, but he was helpless. He only got back 300 taels out of 10,780 taels. How will he explain to Manager Tao after he returns? Ling Chu glanced at Hu Baxian and didn't pay much attention. She exposed the crimes of Grandma Wang and the others, and avenged Feng Guan and Hongxiu. The two puppet souls were kowtowing to her at this time. The matter was over. Ling Chu received the 2 merits rewarded by the system and left with satisfaction. Xiaji drove a carriage and left Qinghe Lane. Unexpectedly, I saw the conductor waiting on horseback by the roadside. Wei Feng waved his hand towards Xiaji, gesturing for her to stop the car. Ling Chu was surprised when she saw Ning Chui from the window. She thought he had left long ago. Ning Chui glanced at her, rode close to the carriage, and directly stated the purpose of stopping the carriage. "I have some clues about what you asked me to investigate." "Dear book friends, do you have any tickets?" "No, I'll ask again later." 1 second later. "Dear book friends, do you have any tickets?" "No, I'll ask again later." 2 seconds later. "Dear book friends, do you have any tickets?" "No, I'll ask again later." 3 seconds later. "Dear book friends, do you have any tickets?" "No, I'll ask again later."